Dear Doja with the Cat, your success does not trump racism. I want to make this video in regards to I really do like Doja Cat. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. I really do like her music for a variety. Ugh, that word always trumps me up. You know what I'm saying? A multitude of reasons, and I'll get into it later on in this video. But I want to give my 2 cents to give you an insight of where this is coming from. I don't follow the T blogs like I used to. There's something about adulting, my brain finally finalizing, developing, and like my interest now, me being more community focused, me being more politically inclined. I don't have enough brain space for useless junk like celebrity tea. That is not to say that I don't indirectly know about like what's the latest thing that's trending. It's not like I don't know like pop culture. It's just that like I'm not the Shade Room follower, the Impressive follower, the TMZ follower, the Wendy Williams like I just ain't got it. But I was watching a video and it came up within the chat that Doja Cat was performing in Paraguay, and that is a country in South America. So there's a tropical storm that's coming, and I don't know the name, but there's a tropical storm that's coming because, climate change is a real thing. Global warming is a real thing. Texas went through like 3 tornadoes, like, wow. And a forest fire type of situation. It started as a house fire, but then turned into like blocks being demolished by fire. So the point is like global warming is a real thing, like a real serious endangerment to us all. But Doja Cat had the performance scheduled and booked, and she was there to perform, her along with other artists, because it was a festival. And the festival had to close down because the tropical storm was going to happen and affect the region of where this festival was being held in Paraguay. Now, some of her fans went on social media to complain that Doja Cat, unlike the other performances and artists for the festival, did not perform at her hotel for the public. Kind of like during the pandemic when people wanted to support essential workers. Now y'all call them low-skilled wage workers, right? During the pandemic, they were essential workers. After the pandemic, they back to y'all not giving a fuck about them because they're poor, right? Anywho, so you know how during the pandemic, a lot of people were trying to show solidarity with the essential workers, more so with the doctors and nurses to show that we cared and we had somewhat of a heart. We would do performances. We would do like honking on our horns. We would show up and like feed them sometimes, those who work in the medical field. Sometimes people would just cheer out in solidarity and wave flags just to show camaraderie, just to show like we support you, you're validated, we love your labor, right? Doja Cat did not decide to do that. She did not decide to do a performance outside near her hotel room to, I guess, somewhat break even with the fans who had to delay coming to the festival because of the storm. So a way to appease them. Doja Cat decided not to. So those fans went on social media to not only call out Doja Cat, but to use and mix and sprinkle in that good old racism, global, that people of color too participate in the debauchery that is racism. So they went on social media calling Doja Cat all types of N-words and all these racial slurs. Now, in the beginning, we're going back in time, during her come up wave. So this was like after Moo, bitch, I'm a cow, bitch, I'm a cow. And that's part of the reason why I like her. Like, I'm a Taurus. That song was like the first time I heard of Doja Cat and took her seriously. My sister in Venus, me being a Taurus sun, and Doja being a Libra moon, both sharing the same planet, Venus, as our ruler. And then the controversy started around the time when Juicy came out. This is Doja Cat being featured by Tyga. Side note, Tyga really be pulling in weight when it comes to like features, but I never, ever gave a F about a Tyga song, like a solo, like whole song is just Tyga rapping, because it's just like, what's that? But when he features, he actually knocks it out the park. So I don't know how that works, but it's working for Tyga, right? So that was a smash. And that was a more professional look for Doja because Moo was more so of her trolling. That was just her on her off time, just blowing steam. Whereas Juicy was a record that she put effort into. It was a music video along with Tia and Tamara, Doja Cat being featured with Rico Nasty. Rico, like, that's another artist that I like. So she was on her come up phase. People were trying to see what she was really about, what she really brought. We see that she can go viral for doing clownery, but like, is she a real artist? So there was a video of her that was filmed without her permission in this chat, this app. I don't remember the app, but it's one of those like coming together apps like Instagram Spaces, what is it? What do y'all do? The backyard thing, the black house thing, the clubhouse type of thing. So it's like a group little arena. It's like your little a group chat thing. So she was on one of them apps, and I guess she was a regular. She was a regular. So they knew her since she was Doja Cat or Doja Kitten. Doja Kitten, when she didn't really have it like that, and she was on the come up at the time, where she was just very flippant, just heavily sprinkling in N-words and saying and this, and people were scandalous. People were not here for it. When it leaked and went viral, people were like, she's canceled, she's anti-black, she's a coon. You know how it go. So I was one of those people where I was like, you know what, she has the right to say the N-word. Like me personally, I would not be too chummy. And I see this as a biracial thing. It might fit into the video that I made when I said like the biracial takeover, where, you know, the biracials are taking over, but like, why take over when you could just have your own lane, right? But anywho, she and a lot of biracials be very extra geeked to let their favorite non-black person say the N-word or say racially spicy shit and get away with that, you know, AAVE type of aesthetics. And they think it's cool because I'm giving you my half black pass and I'm giving you validation and safety. And then they allow these favorite non-black people to get too comfortable. Then they think they can say that same shit or do that same shit to a full-blooded black person like me. And then they find out that people, yes, indeed, punch Nazis. So she was on that tip where she was just very comfortable hearing the N-word hard ER, and she was comfortable using the hard ER. Me personally, I'm not okay saying that we're sprinkling it around non-black people. And I'm definitely not okay hearing non-black people say the A version, the redacted version. And I'm definitely not okay with non-black people saying the hard ER version. But what I was standing on the principle of free speech, and I was also standing on the principle of like, we're not about to play this back and forth. Doja Cat is canceled, this and the third, especially when it came to black men in that space, because a lot of them felt disrespected because Doja Cat had, I don't know if she's still with that man, but she had a boyfriend, a Caucasian boyfriend. And they felt like, oh, like what? Because she's built aesthetically like their prize, like the video that I did about colorism. Colorism is a black man thing featuring Kodak Black. They assume because Doja Cat is biracial and she's built like a stacked house, they assume like she would choose them. She would be into black men. And the fact that she's into an average, everyday white man, for them felt offensive. Like, how dare you not choose us when we choose you? So I felt like a lot of it was in a way to slander or punish Doja Cat versus like seeing it for what it is. And it is her right to say the N-word. It is her right to even allow non-black people to be, you know, dicing their words with the N-word. Not me. I'm telling you, don't let these biracials get you hurt in these streets. They have blackness. It works in different ways. A fully black person that they are, black mom, black daddy, you run up on me with that shit, you're gonna find out, yes, indeed, people do punch Nazis. So, so now we're back to present day where Doja Cat, after being slandered by her fan base in Paraguay, was like, you know what? I'm so tired of this. I'm retiring. And I'm like, girl, you just started. You ain't retiring. And it's really the Libra in you because you're a Libra sun, and I would know because I'm a Libra moon and my ascendant is Libra as well. So like, I would know. It's the desire to be liked, especially since you and Cardi B's bird brain ass are both Libras. You love what you do. And it's not just like you love what you do, but you loved being loved in that energy of you doing what you love to do. And that's very Venus and Libra of you, both of y'all, and a little bit of me too. Where it's just like, it's not that you can't take constructive criticism, it's the just demolishing of it all. How critique really makes you feel as if like you're being dismissed out of the tribe, like you're being canceled, like you feel like rejected and dejected. So like I understand that, but this is not that. Your fan base, part of them will be a little racist. And that's interesting because I was thinking about like how white people's relationship with Black people for the most part is always of service, right? Whether you are the maid, the babysitter, hell, the mechanic. White people's dynamic with Black people, especially in this country, is always of this Black person serving me, as opposed to like this Black person is in my friendship circle. This Black person and I are direct neighbors. Like it's not some, oh, we go to church together. Churches are still very segregated. Black churches, and then there's white churches, right? There isn't many spaces where Black people and white people are on the same equal plateau. Nor do you see often white people working underneath Black people in a subordinate position. We already talked about class dynamics and hierarchy. Oftentimes, Black people are not in positions of power, hence the saying, last one hired, first one fired, aka the essential workers, the dispensable people, those who hardly have a legitimate salary. And when I say legitimate, I mean like it's not a livable wage and benefits are rare, right? So in these class dynamics, oftentimes it is Black people who are of servitude class, which is not too distant in the past of remnants of slavery where Black people were enslaved by white people. And the same class dynamic appears to be similar to today. Oftentimes, those who are serving are Blacks, and oftentimes, those who are being serviced, so they are the receiving end of someone else's labor, is white people. And you see the dynamics the same today. No matter how many times they tell you Black Lives Matter and they have this pro-Black Walmart poster sign for their yard, they still see Black people as a servitude class. They still see Black people as subordinate. And that's usually the dynamics that white people have with Black people. Not in a position where they, as white people, are either an assistant or in some lower position under a Black person, or they are servicing another Black person in a similar fashion, whether it is a server at a restaurant, whether it is a bank teller, whether it is whatever. Leasing from a Black person, so like a homeowner selling or renting their apartment in some way, shape, or form where the class dynamic is different, where a Black person is on a higher level of this thing called hierarchy and a white person is on the lower end. Whether it is a babysitter, whether it is a grocery store stalker, whether it is a Uber driver, and you catch my drift. A position in service. Oftentimes, white people's relationship with Black people is as deep as they, white people, purchasing services, labor from Black people. And in no other circumstance, like nothing deeper than an exchange, a monetary exchange for service. And because we live in a hierarchy, with God, man, woman, child, and even in society and the ways that we interact. The person who services you in the way that we do classism and elitism in this country is deemed a subordinate. And the person who is paying for that service is deemed the superior. And that's how most of our relationships are, not just in romantic relationships. It's just in, let's say, career. You're an artist and people work on regular 9 to 5. Like, if you are the servicer, you're always seen as inferior. And because we live in a country like America, the customer's always right, even when they're fucking wrong. You have to put a smile on and still serve them and still be subordinate and play your role, even when they have the audacity to challenge your existence. And Doja Cat being biracial, it just shows that even when you are biracial, even if you have more white passing features, and one can argue Doja does, even with the class that she was born into, she's not from the hood. She was raised by her white mother, predominantly in a white community. So like, she doesn't have the urban hood girl aesthetics. Like, that's not her. She's raised amongst white people for the majority of her life. Like, she may have more white memories than even other white people who are like in urban cities. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that I'm trying to say she's an Oreo, and that's not a term that I go by, I accept. It's more so her just lived experience. And with her lived experience surrounded by whiteness, they still want to show you like, there is something that they can always trigger and dismiss and cut you down on, and that's your biracialness. And that's why with all the success that Doja has, her fan base, these are supposed to be people who would depart with their money to support her, to show that they have some type of unrealistic, forged, fabricated relationship with Doja Cat through their music. A lot of them probably have some type of special moment that include a Doja Cat track. And now all of a sudden, like, they think them and Doja's besties in their heads on some Wendy Williams shit, right? So like, these are people who will again depart with money to see you. And then once they feel slighted in some type of way by doing the responsible thing and canceling a festival during a tropical storm, because you don't want to end up like Sicko Mode nigga who had underage fans dying and being trampled over because of some weirdo shit, right? So like, you want to be the responsible thing because you don't want to get sued for causing anybody's death, especially something that's avoidable, like canceling a show early because of a tropical storm. Now, I don't know how old her fan base is. I'm probably on the older side of things, but this generation of children who is like, I want it and I need it now, microwavable. They don't have the patience, and a lot of them, especially if they're younger, they don't have the foresight. So perhaps not going on the internet, Doja, and capping, you should have been like, okay, so y'all are mad at me because I'm being an adult and I'm taking the initiative to cancel a concert during a tropical storm because I don't want my edges and my wig flying off with the wind and y'all flying off with it too. I don't want to be sued like Travis, like explaining it, breaking it down to them, and even being snarky because I like being snarky. I would also talk about like, these are the songs I was willing to play. This is the production. This is how much money I put into this bitch. Like, breaking it down to him why it would not be advantageous for her, you, in the last minute to change up your routine, try to change up your production, to try to make it be something that it's not, because it is meant to be at a proper setting, and a hotel room is not that proper setting. And even explain that you care about your reputation. You're an artist. You put your blood, sweat, and tears and Illuminati affiliations into it, right? That you don't want to just do something on the fly when you had a whole production, a whole idea, a whole vision to bring. And then even say like, look, I'll come back after the tropical storm, bitch. I'll come back after the next surge of COVID, bitch. If y'all already bought tickets, hold your tickets because I'll be back. Like, it could have been done like that. And it wasn't, unfortunately. But my point is to say is that racism is real. Racism is very real. And again, Paraguay is in South America. So they are people of color too. Paraguayans, or whatever you call people from Paraguay. And their first reaction was to let you know that you're inferior. And these are supposed to be your fan base. And this is how they feel about you when you don't bend to their whim. They treat celebrities no different than they treat the McDonald's worker during the COVID surge, right? When you're in the industry of service, there's always this whole master servant mentality with people. Because you are the server, you are subordinate. And because I am the purchaser of your service, of your labor, of your whatever, then I am the master. And that's the dynamics that we have in society. And that's the way that we integrate and we even communicate with each other. It's very much get others before you get got. And you see this. Even though, again, I'm not crying Doja Cat tears. She's very rich. Okay, she's very good. I don't know who's looking over her money in her accounts. Okay, you don't want to end up like Rihanna, bitch, better have my money with your accountants. Okay, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure Doja's well-to-do. If she would have quit music, seriously, I think she'd be a-okay. Okay, I don't think she'd be out here eating lentils as those who make $300,000 a year wanted to remind us peasants that we should kick out our pets because we're poor, that we should stop eating meat and just eat lentils because we're poor, and to basically sell off our cars if you're poor, and then make everything seem as if it's your fault for the way that these capitalists has run this country down to the ground, right? So I'm pretty sure Doja Cat is not living that reality, but I want her and others like her, especially the biracials and Cardi, if you're listening, listen closer, that your blackness, your racial status, your gender, your this, that, and the third, whatever category or whatever definition you want to define yourself as, will never trump the status quo of this right-wing society. White, rich, male. And if we want to get into more of a dissection, then it would be like heterosexual, upper class. If you want to get even more nuanced, it'd be like blonde hair and blue eye. Now we sounding like a, yes, indeed, punch a Nazi. So it's getting very much of that type of tease, but that's the society that we live in. And don't let money think anything otherwise. Because you might find yourself being called an N-word by someone who really, 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 really loved your music. Diehard fan. But at the end of the day, you upset me and you're nothing more than an N-word. So I don't want to make this video too long, but those were my thoughts on the situation. This is the reality that we live in. This is late stage capitalism, and this is still the hierarchy of manifest destiny. I'm just not surprised, girl. But even Doja Cat has mentioned during her adolescent years and her growing up in white societies and spaces, she talked about being ostracized and mocked and having heard racial slurs before, unfortunately. And money is not going to change that about certain people. So I'm not going to say this is a Doja Cat wake up call, as opposed to, girl, protect your energy, girl. Sage your energy, girl. Light up some candles, get you some crystals, get you some herbal tea, bitch. Like, fuck them all, bitch. And just take care of you. Because technically this is Self-Care Saturday. I don't know when I'm going to finish uploading this video, but it's Self-Care Saturday for me. So let it be Self-Care Saturday for you, okay? And all the Libras out there too. And with that being said, y'all, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you agree, you disagree, you have your own 2 cents about it. Share. Be blessed, be enlightened, be loved, and I am out. Peace.